So, I've told this story before, but recently it's become more relevant to me, I guess. I feel like last time I didn't really get across just how meaningful it turned out to be. Back when I first finished Roommates, a friend of mine was urging me to pitch it to one of the local theatre companies that was asking for new scripts. But because it was my first attempt and I was still second-guessing literally every decision I made, I was really on the fence about whether I should actually do it. Like, I said I'd do it, but I don't know if I was going to in the end. Writing it was so fun and so enjoyable, and despite what I believe, I was proud of what I created, but I wasn't ready to put it out into the world because, of course, I was scared. I was scared of putting it out there. I was scared of what other people would think about it. If it turned out not to be good, or I, myself as a writer, turned out not to be good, then it would mean that because of the pride that I felt, I would have succumbed to egotism, or it would have meant that I would never be successful. It would mean that I was never had any real talent to begin with. It would mean that I had nothing in this particular facet of my life. Basically, I'm scared of progress, and I'm scared of what I might become if I started to care. About anything. But a few weeks before the date of the pitch, I went to Melbourne. Me and some friends, we went to Supernova Pop Culture Convention in Melbourne. And I can dress it up as much as I want, but I went there pretty much solely to meet one of the guests that was coming there. Last year at Melbourne Supernova, I met Tyler Hoechlin, one of my favourite actors. I've been following his stuff for a few years. I've seen his movies, I've seen the TV shows he's in, I've seen interviews, I've watched video footage of his Q&A panels. I'm a fan of him, I'm a fan of what he does. And throughout that weekend and the time around, I hadn't been thinking about Roommates in the slightest. I hadn't been thinking about writing, I hadn't been thinking about pitching, I hadn't been thinking about anything because I was focused on other things. Instead, I was just thinking about what I would even say if I met him. It was it's not even that I just wanted to say things to him, it's about things I wanted him to know. I wanted him to know that I admired and respected him, rather than just going up to him and being oh yeah, I saw you in the show, I saw you in the movie, you were good, you were great, and blah blah blah, everything else. I wanted it to be more than that because I felt like it needed to be more important than that. So instead of thinking about all the shows and the movies, I thought about something that he said in a interview a while ago, I think about 2 years ago. One of the things he said in relation to people is, whatever your talent is, don't be embarrassed by it.
Whatever your talent is, don't be embarrassed by it. For the love of God, embrace it. Share it, go to work with it, do what you want with it. It's amazing. So never hide behind it.
Embrace it, share it, do what you want with it. So while I was lining up to meet him, that was what was in my head, and suddenly I was thinking about Roommates, I was thinking about writing, and I realized that that's what I was doing. I was embarrassed for trying. I was hiding. I was hiding Roommates from the world. I was hiding myself from the world out of fear and shame. So I told Tyler Hoechlin about Roommates. I told him that I was involved in university theatre, that I was mostly an actor, but that I did want to get into writing. I reminded him about what he said about our talents and listening to them and going after them. And so I told him that I was pitching my first script in the next few weeks. Not that I was thinking about it, not that I was on the fence about it, that I was going to do it. Right there and then, I decided that I would pitch this script. And I wanted him, personally, to know that I was listening to what he told us to do. And he told me that, in his words, it was awesome that I was doing that.
Tyler Hoechlin just said that I was doing awesome stuff.
And I felt really proud and felt really glad. And at the time, that meant a lot to me. And because I told him, I felt like I had made the promise to do it, to myself, to Tyler Hoechlin, to my friend who wanted me to pitch, to my friend who suggested I write this in the first place. I figured once I told Tyler Hoechlin I was doing something that not doing it would have been some kind of betrayal. Like, a betrayal of trust, or like a breaking of a promise. Like, even though he would never find out that I would somehow disappoint him. And I feel like that's what kept me from disappointing myself. So we chatted a little bit. Tyler Hoechlin signed the photo of us. He recommended me a book to read about writing, which was really cool.
I shook my hand and said it was really cool to meet you, and I was like, it was really cool to meet you too, thank you so much. And then I left, and then I died, like a little bit.
And later on in his Q&A panel, he pointed me out in the audience and told the entire room about what I was going to do.
He asked for me personally.
So now, not only had I made this unofficial promise to Tyler Hoechlin, I'd also made it to half of fucking Melbourne. So now it had to happen. There was no getting out of this one. So a few weeks later, I had the pitch written up and I sent it in. It didn't get accepted by the theatre company that I pitched it to, but one of my friends from a different theatre company was there and loved it. And sometime later, when they were figuring out their lineup for 2016, Top and Tail Theatre asked me if they could put on Roommates live from Apartment 19. So here I am, writer of a show going up in Fringe Festival. And I don't want to say that it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't taken that trip to Melbourne, but it sure as hell kicked me into gear, and it reminded me why I should have done it. Why I should be putting myself out there more. Why I shouldn't be hiding everything I do. And since that trip, I've been in more shows. I've written 2 more plays, both of which other people have their eyes on, which is interesting. I'm really glad that I'm still in this world, this theatre world that I managed to worm my way into almost accidentally over the last year or 2. And I know he'll probably never know how this turned out, but I really wish that I could somehow let him know that this happened. That I did this, and it's working, and I'm really glad that I did it. It might not be because I owe it all to him, but he definitely helped me understand why I need to be doing things, why I can't be scared, and why no one should be scared, and why this happened. I'm listening to my talents, I am sharing them with the world, and the idea of doing so is so scary because I'm still so worried that that this might not be a talent, that this might not be quality in the slightest. I'm still so scared to put myself out there because I'm worried that what I'm putting out there isn't good, that it isn't good enough, that it isn't worthwhile, but I'm doing it anyway. And I know why I'm doing it. So this is my open letter telling Tyler Hoechlin that I'm doing it. I did it, and I'm still doing it. I am fulfilling my promise to you, to Melbourne, to myself, and hopefully I'm making somebody proud, even if it's just me. And I think I am.